Should you quit wholesale real estate? With all the different things happening around the wholesale real estate industry and the different costs associated with wholesaling and the competition, should you actually pursue this a little bit more, or should you move on to your next business ideal? In today's video, I'm going to talk about reasons why you may consider moving on from wholesale real estate. And this is shocking coming from a channel that promotes wholesale real estate, but I just want you all to be aware of what's happening with wholesale real estate and just show you all the honest truth about wholesaling real estate. I'm also going to give reasons why you shouldn't quit wholesaling and why it's one of the best ways to get started real estate. Make sure you all share your comments down below, like this video, and subscribe. Now, one big reason why you should consider quitting wholesale real estate is because of all the regulation happening around real estate wholesaling. On this channel, I share just different laws and regulations and bills that were passed around the country that makes it a little bit harder for the beginner to get started with wholesaling. So for example, in my last video, I talked about how South Carolina recently passed a law that a lot of wholesalers believe that they are banning wholesalers entirely, that it's making it almost impossible for you to wholesale in that state. And there are other cities and states that may not necessarily ban wholesale real estate, but they are requiring you to hold a license, requiring you to take classes and pay money to buy a license in order to wholesale real estate. And a lot of these can be stumbling blocks to a beginner because, first of all, they believe wholesaling is completely free, they can just get started, but now they have to take classes. Now they have to pay money for a license and jump through that hoop. And so there are some barriers you have to go through now in certain states and cities in order to wholesale real estate. Right now, the majority of the states do not require wholesale real estate licensing or anything of that nature. And so I guess that's one reason why I would say don't quit wholesaling real estate, because the majority of states do not require any type of license or has any specific law around wholesale real estate. And I think it's still a great option to get started with real estate investing. And a lot of these states, I'm not 100% sure yet with South Carolina, but even though they do require some sort of licensing, it's fairly simple to get, right? And it doesn't cost a ton of money, but it does cost money. It's still a viable option for people to do in most states around the country. I do believe that you don't have to quit wholesale real estate if you're genuinely interested, if you're ready to get started. If you live in those few states or cities that require some sort of licensing or have some sort of laws, just be aware of that. And even states that have laws, they're just asking for you to be upfront about what you're doing, or just to put in your contract that you're not the buyer, that you're going to assign the property. And so there's not still a ton of regulation in wholesale real estate when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you look at the whole of the United States of America. Yes, I do believe more and more states are going to adopt more laws, more regulations, and more licensing. But right now, I think it's pretty still good for you to get started even without a license wholesaling real estate. Another reason why you should consider moving on from wholesale real estate is because it's expensive. It can get expensive if you don't get a deal within the first 6 to 12 months, right? Let's say you're paying for cold callers, you're paying for lists, you're paying for softwares, and maybe you're paying for a license in your city or state. These bills can add up, and it can be a strain to a lot of beginners who don't have a lot of money to get started. And that's why they're getting started in wholesale real estate, because most likely they don't have money for a down payment to get started with long-term rentals or with flipping properties. And so that's why they got started with wholesaling. But when these bills start to add up, it can get expensive. And so I would say, yeah, you have to consider, are you doing the right things with your money in order to get wholesale deals? Because I think one reason why you shouldn't quit is because you have to be strategic with the amount of money you're spending and how you spend your money. I know for me, I know I talk about my story a lot on this channel, but it took me a good 6 to 9 months, actually 9 months, 8 to 9 months to get my first deal. And so, yes, I was spending money before, but when I hunkered down, I actually started spending more money, but it was more strategic. I got my first deal under contract within 3 months. And so if you do that and it's still not working, and you have to reevaluate your ways, are you fit for this industry? Yes, maybe you do have business and that entrepreneurial spirit in you, but maybe wholesaling is not for you. And once again, I know that's shocking for a wholesaling channel. I talk about real estate in general. I talk about flipping and long-term rentals, but you may not hear a lot of wholesaling wholesalers say that on their channel, but I want to let you know that it can get expensive if you're not getting your deal within the first year of really hunkering down and trying to get that first deal. And I think another thing that you can do is work for a wholesaling company and just be like their caller or their dispo person and just learn that, and you can get deals and get paid off of commission, and you can learn the business that way, and then you can start your own business. So there are other ways to get started other than just starting your own business in wholesaling real estate. I think another reason why some people may quit is because of the timeline to get the deal. Like I said, if you don't have a deal under contract and sold and made your assignment within the first year, you have to reconsider if wholesaling is for you. And so timeline is very important for any new business idea. Say, hey, I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to start this business, and some business you understand that, hey, it's going to take me 3 years to go to the next step, or it's going to take me 6 months or a year, or starting a YouTube channel, I know it's going to take some time to build up traction to get subscribers and whatnot. But timeline is very important because a lot of wholesalers, a lot of influencers don't tell you like the realistic time frame it takes you to actually get a deal. Yes, strategic and you're on top of everything, you can get it done within 3 months, but some people it's a little bit longer. And so you just have to be upfront about that. And if it's just past that time, then maybe it's time to move on. All right, one other reason why you should quit wholesaling real estate is that it's super competitive. The competition is real. More than ever, you have more channels talking about wholesaling, encouraging people to get started. And so you have people actually getting started based off of channels like this. And so that puts more competition into the game of real estate wholesaling. And when you have competition, it's harder to get deals because a seller is all like, I got 20 different mailers from 20 different companies. I get 20 different calls from 20 different companies. And so that could be hard. It can be difficult. But once again, one reason why you shouldn't quit is because where are you going to go? Every business is competitive. Most businesses are competitive. You're going to do YouTube. Okay, there are millions of channels right now. Maybe there's a specific niche that's not as competitive, but then again, you just have to understand that business is competitive, point blank, period. And you have to pivot according to what's happening in that specific industry. Another reason why you should consider quitting wholesale real estate is that it is difficult. It is difficult understanding marketing around wholesaling and just the whole business as itself. I know like for some siblings, I explained it for months and they finally got what I was doing after like a year or two. And so wholesaling real estate can be difficult. That's why a lot of flippers don't do it, because they're all like, we don't want to deal with that. We want you to get it under contract and we'll take it on from there. Because their process, even though it is hard, but it's like, okay, just hire a contractor, they flip the house, put it and list it, right? Wholesalers, they have to understand which marketing technique they want to do. They have to understand negotiation, talking with the seller, following up with the seller for months on end. It's just a longer process, and I feel like wholesaling is definitely more difficult. But one reason why you shouldn't is because once you have those systems in place, it can be like a consistent monthly revenue source, right? And you get used to negotiations. You get used to, okay, which marketing works and whatnot. And the thing with wholesaling is that a lot of times you can make as much as a flipper. Some flippers are only trying to make 20, 30 grand on a flip. You can easily make that on your assignment. They're doing so much more work that costs way more money, that takes up a lot of capital. Whereas for you, yes, you had to invest in the time and following up with a person, but it's just a phone call, right? You're not like, oh, I have to replace the HVAC now this month. No, all you have to do, I have to call, Sally today, right? And so that's essentially it. That's the difficult part of wholesaling. But I think that's one reason to stay. So overall, that's the summary of whether or not you should quit wholesaling. That's for you to decide. I believe for wholesaling, it really helped me get into real estate investing, helped me save up some capital to invest in long-term rentals and now get started in more flipping. And so wholesale real estate is a great way to get started in real estate investing. For some people, it's not the only thing they should do or to continue doing. Maybe it's a stepping stone for whatever they want to do in real estate investing. All right, you all, hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll talk to you all later.